Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you're watching, however you're watching. This is Quantum of History. What I want to do is I want to just take a brief time out to explain what this channel actually is. On this channel, I do three main things. And what I want to talk about is what you're going to get out of each episode. This also is a podcast and a YouTube. So I do both. Both have different things to offer. YouTube has a lot more visuals. Podcast, I get to speak more freely. I get to more in depth, and you get more of a personal touch with the podcast. First, what is Quantum of History? What is this all about? Well, what I actually do is I take historical topics based out of James Bond movies, and I tell the real life, the interesting story of them. And for each time you learn them, it enriches your viewing experience of the movie. Let me explain why. Let's say, for instance, you're watching GoldenEye, and you know that Alec Trevelyan is a Leanne's Cossack. What does that actually mean? What does it actually mean to be a Leanne's Cossack? Well, what I do is I take the topic and explain what the Leanne's Cossacks actually were, how the Allied forces actually just sacrificed thousands of Leanne's Cossacks and led them to slaughter by Stalin in order to appease Stalin to keep them on the Allied forces side. When you understand the historical topic of it, it enriches GoldenEye, the movie. You understand why Alec Trevelyan has this deep hatred for Britain because of what they actually did in real life, and the story is rooted in reality, and it really makes you appreciate the movie a little bit more. The world is not enough. The pipeline that goes from Baku, Azerbaijan to Sican, Turkey, that actually happened. They actually had the plans for that years before the actual pipeline was made, and how Armenia couldn't benefit from the pipeline because Azerbaijan hates Armenia. So they had to circumvent to Georgia, then to get down to Turkey. And then once it got to Turks, the Turks wanted to keep their land for themselves, so they make it go through the Kurds' land, and the Kurds are considered like a second-class citizen in Turkey. And understanding that these stories happen, and when you hear about them and then you watch the movie again, you really get a deeper appreciation for what the movie actually is trying to tell you, and you enjoy your viewing experience even more because it adds the gravitas of the storyline. Again, the water crisis, why is that a big deal? You're thinking it's just water, and I hear that so many times. Well, actually, water's a big deal, and I explain why water is a big deal and why there was so much to fight for. Pipeline, again, why is this so big a deal? And how Russia, Iran, Syria, Armenia, Azerbaijan, Turkey, the Kurds, how they all have to fight over this pipeline, and how British Petroleum and Iran are trying to fight for this thing, and it makes such a better story. That's mainly what I do here. Again, I have three types of episodes. The first episode that I do, less frequent, but it's more fun. I do the Bond Girl Bracket Challenge. I do Bond-centric things. I do Bond Girl Bracket Challenge. I destroy people in GoldenEye.
We got negative.
Oh! How does that RCP 90 feel?
Boom!
Generic
Generic controller, man. Generic controller.
Do you see a difference?
Yeah, Nintendo.
What does that say?
Nothing. It says nothing.
You can't see it.
It's a setup.
All I see is 10-0 in that screen. 64. I take them and just beat them. They get worked. If you haven't seen it, if you haven't seen me just demolish people, woo! Second type of episode that I do is reaction based on current headlines. Let me give you an instance. The GameStop thing that happened where they were shorting stocks and then inflating the price of GameStop so that hedge funds would lose a ton of money because they were shorting stocks. We did an episode based on Le Chiffre because Le Chiffre did the same thing at Casino Royale. His idea was to short the stock, blow up the plane, and then become rich. When the plane doesn't blow up, the idea of shorting the stock falls apart. Explain exactly what happens in terms of James Bond. Or critical race theory. I just did that episode where you have something that's becoming prevalent. And how would you look at Live and Let Die in 1970s Harlem? How would you look at critical race theory and use that as a perfect template for how critical race theory would view why 1970s Harlem was the way it was in Live and Let Die and why it's different now? Third type of episode that I did, same thing I just explained. I do episodes based on, I take historical topics, I tell them out of the prism of James Bond. Whether, again, it's the pipeline for Azerbaijan, whether it's what a Lecter machine is in From Russia with Love, or Spy Who Loved Me, I talk about the most famous female spies, or Octopussy in the Berlin Wall, I talk about the significance of the Berlin Wall, the history of the Berlin Wall, the symbolism of the Berlin Wall, how it fell in some of the most infamous stories that happened at the Berlin Wall. And it'll really make you appreciate it. And if you haven't checked out, check out the podcast. Again, Quantum History Podcast, available wherever podcasts are. There are more episodes on there than there are on the YouTube. We'll catch up. I just started on the YouTube, but I'll catch up to that. But that's what I wanted to go through. I wanted to advertise both the YouTube and the podcast, tell you what I do here, and tell you what's going to happen in the future. Again, there's going to be a bunch more episodes, same type, one of those three. Either just fun Bond stuff, a reaction to a current headline, and also historical topic. If you're into history, if you enjoy history, or if you enjoy enriching your viewing experience of the movies, this is the place for that. And that's what I do. So I just wanted to briefly just go ahead and tell you what I'm about, what is there, and hopefully look forward to seeing you guys more. All right, guys, it's been Quantum History. This has been the introduction, tell you what I'm about, what I'm here, and what's going forward. Check out the YouTube, check out the podcast, like, comment, subscribe, and also, Grady, what else should I do?
Like what you saw, then hit that subscribe button. Comment down below and leave a like and hit that subscribe button. Why are you not hitting that subscribe button?